Good morning, Laguna Woods. Thank you for tuning in to Inspiration for Today. It's another great day, and we have a great show. We've been playing because of this is Denver Bierman, and because Denver and the Mile High Orchestra just played us in a concert on Friday night. I've asked him to stay over. Let our people get to know you because we've been playing a lot of your music over the last few weeks of Inspiration for Today. And if you haven't seen those, go back on YouTube and see them. The band is awesome, Denver. How did you put that together?
Well, I grew up in Indiana, and then I went to college in Nashville, Tennessee. And when I was in school, got the chance to meet a bunch of other guys that were a lot like me, and that is, I was a band geek. I grew up loving the trumpet. From the time I started playing in sixth grade, I had these big old fat chubby lips, and I could play all these high notes on it. And so I found a bunch of other guys just like me in college. We were all music majors. We all played in the concert band. We also played in the university jazz band. And while I was there at school, I learned in a couple of classes how to start to write and arrange music for strings and for horns and all these things that I never knew how to do growing up that I love so much. And I thought, wow, now that I'm learning these things, I would love to experiment. I'd love to start writing my own big band songs. But, I wanted to incorporate the passion and love that I had for Jesus into them. So I was like, I'm going to start writing Christian big band songs. Like, what a random thing, right? Like, who does that? And so I started doing it. And I would ask my friends from the school to come and to sing at a little college outreach that we were doing at our local church that we all attended called Two Rivers Baptist Church in Nashville, Tennessee. It's right across the street from the Grand Ole Opry. And that's literally the truth. And so we would be doing these events for sometimes 20, 30 college kids. And we started playing these songs that I was writing, and everybody just loved it. They're like, Denver, this is so different and unique, and I love the sound, and there's so much energy. And we didn't realize what God was going to do with that. So that's how it started 20 years ago.
We're having fun today because we only have one mic and we have to share it. That's unusual, as you watchers know, but we're going to get by. But so you were already a follower of Christ at that time. How did you start following Christ in your life?
Well, I was blessed from a very young age, literally from the time I was born, to go to church. And I'm grateful to my folks for giving me the chance to know about God and to hear the truth of the Old Testament and those Old Testament stories as a child in children's church, and to grow up in high school and to hear about the New Testament, about the gospel of Jesus. But when I think sometimes for me, Rick, and like for a lot of us that maybe grew up in church our whole lives, it's almost like a story we've heard hundreds, even thousands of times. And I think for me, it was just that. It was like a story. It was like opening up a fairy tale book and reading about Peter Pan, or it was a story. There was a certain point of reality that hadn't hit home for me. And reality hit me when I was 17 years old. I had one of my dearest friends in high school, and her name's Christina. We were both on the drama team together. If you can imagine me doing a lot of drama. Yeah, I've got my wife says I'm full of drama. Anyways, and so we used to travel around the state, around the country, doing all these speech competitions and drama competitions, acting, and Christina is such a fabulous actress. She won a lot of different awards and championships. But one day after school in Plymouth, Indiana, beautiful September day, autumn day, I was at band practice. Well, I was the drum major of the band. And Christina got in her car to drive home after school, and I didn't know until after band practice, but one of my friends had come up to me and said, Denver, did you hear what happened after school today? And I said, no, what are you talking about? And they almost got as white as a ghost. They said, Denver, you didn't hear? I said, no, I didn't hear anything. And her name's Karen. She kind of hung her head, and she said, well, Denver, it's your friend Christina. She was just driving home after school, crossing the highway, and she didn't see this semi truck, and it killed her instantly. And I was holding this drum major podium. It had wheels, but I just let go of it and it just crashed onto the parking lot. And I just sat down in the concrete, and the world was spinning. I was crying. And I didn't move for like 3.5 hours, like long after the sun went down. And in those moments when real life happens, I think a lot of us do a lot of soul searching, like, about what life is really all about. I know for me, I had to ask a lot of really tough questions about life. Like, gosh, I realized life was so fragile and that life is so short. When you're 17, you think life's going to last forever. You think you got it in the palm of your hand. And if life is so fragile, if it's so short, then what is it really all about? Like, what's lasting about this life? And you'd think that on certain levels, that answer would be very automatic for me because I was born and raised in church my whole life. But there was a certain sense of disconnect with what reality was. And so I love the scripture says, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. There were a couple of truths that came up for me in those couple of hours of soul searching. And one of the truths was the truth that I learned when I was a little boy. The most famous Bible verse in the entire world, that for John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, Jesus, that whoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. Something lasting, something solid, something foundational, something beyond, even beyond death itself. I thought that's what life's about.
So that was the time.
That was the time. But here's the other truth, and this is the whole point. The other truth that hit me was, in all of my life and all my years of knowing my friend, I never took 5 minutes or even 5 seconds of my life to talk about everlasting life, to talk about Jesus. And she did not know the God that I knew. And now she's gone, and I'll never have those days back. And that's when it became real. That's when Jesus became more than a story. So sitting in my own tears on a parking lot saying, God, would you take my life? Would you do something beyond? Would you do something that only you could do? I give my hope. I give my faith. I give my life to you. Would you, that's the day I became a Christian.
Denver, thank you for sharing. That was an event that changed your life, and you've made us all think today. You really have, and so Laguna Woods, we'll see you tomorrow. Denver will be back. He has another great story. He does. But it made you think. I know it did. Think about these things. See you tomorrow.
I grew up in a very traditional church growing up. The kind of church we had a piano on one side of the sanctuary, and we had an organ on the other side of the sanctuary, and we would come and we would sit in the pews, and most churches don't have pews anymore, but there would be these books in the pews in front of us, right? And that first song we just did is one of them. Those books were called hymnals. And I grew up standing up in church Sunday mornings, opening up that book, and I grew up singing the first and the second and the fourth verse to every single hymn known to man, right? Did you all grow up that way, some of you like me? Yeah, I love these songs. We've been singing these songs for hundreds of years, and we're going to be singing them for hundreds more because of the timeless truth about our faith in Jesus. I want to sing a song. This is my great-grandpa. My great-grandpa Chance's is his most favorite song on the planet, and very special. Every time we sang it in church, it had such a very reverent, such a beautiful and almost holy sound to it. And then I turned around and I recorded it as a Dixieland song. So before we do it like a Dixieland song, I want to play it for you in the way that I grew up hearing it and played on the organ and sung in church. And it's such a special song to me and my family. It's not the kind of song you play with just one trumpet. It's the kind you definitely have to play with two. So I hope you enjoy this. This is Holy, Holy, Holy.